Hey there everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the Ireland collection. As you've noticed, I changed the lighting in here. As I was editing the first batch of videos, I was like, ooh, that's a bit dark, isn't it? I'm trying out a new lighting setup. I'm going to try to continue the same lighting setup for the next couple of videos. Also, I want to say that I kind of think I screwed up with the first episode because in that video I don't explain the plot and I just assume that you know what the movie is. But then I started thinking like, no, that's sort of what the whole show is about. It's like Criterion Closet Rules, where it's more of what the movie means to me and sort of a recommendation of why you should watch it. With that being said, let's get on with the show. This week's prompt is, what's your favorite movie from the year you were born? This one was a bit difficult because I was going to go with the usual suspect, Silence of the Lambs. I also have Beauty and the Beast and Last Boy Scout. I was going to pick one of those, but sadly I need to upgrade my Silence of the Lambs Blu-ray because I don't have the DVD anymore. So I couldn't talk about Silence of the Lambs because technically it's not in the collection anymore. So I decided to pick a movie that really wasn't my favorite. I wanted to talk about a movie that used to be my favorite and then I fell out of love with it because I thought that was a more interesting thing to talk about. As I did that, I actually fell in love with the movie again. And that movie is Terminator 2. Now, Terminator 2 came out in 1991, the year I was born, and it's always been in my life. So when I was a kid, my mom would have HBO weekends, so there was a little thing where they had like free HBO weekends, so there was a channel where they would show all the HBO movies. So she took full advantage of this. She got the VHS and the VCR, and she recorded movies that she wanted to watch over and over again. So that would be like comedies, action, romance, dramatic movies. As I was growing up, I had these VHSs, and the VHS that had Terminator 2 on it went in this order. So it was What About Bob, Terminator 2, and Rambo 3. And that's like an interesting bunch of movies. They're all random. So as a kid, I'd be watching What About Bob, and it has that little ending at the wedding where it's like, and you know, Bob Wiley's clapping, and the credits are rolling, and just as the credits start up, the picture started like, and it goes right into Terminator 2. As a kid, I watched this so many times. And it's funny because I could remember like watching the movie and knowing exactly when I got bored. I would usually get bored after they saved Sarah Connor. Because I remember thinking like, oh, because there's that scene where the Terminator is standing in front of the window and it does that time-lapse thing where he stayed up all night. And I always remember thinking that was like the most like boring part through the whole desert. And then it kicks in again. And it was one of those movies where I loved it so much. I watched it so many times. But as time goes on, you want to upgrade your collection. So as I started my DVD collection, I got the Terminator 2 special edition. So as I started watching this, I noticed that there was a lot of added scenes in it because I think the original cut is like 137. It's not instantly seen on here, but I think it's like 152. Those extra scenes, while cool and add to the story, it really bogged down the movie for me, and I really didn't like watching it anymore. And it just sucked the love out of it because not only had I watched it so many times as a kid, now that the special edition came in there, it just became like a drain to watch it. So this was like my teenager years, my early 20s, late teens, where I'm just like, I think I'm done with Terminator 2. Like I couldn't get joy out of it anymore, which is sad. I'm thankful for the show because it made me fall in love again with one of my favorite movies. And I think that reason why is because on this Blu-ray of Terminator 2, it has the theatrical cut. So the theatrical cut is what I grew up with, what I watched all the time as a kid, and I fell in love with it again. And not only that, but since I'm older and I haven't seen the movie in like 15, 12 years, you know, and I haven't seen this version since I was a kid, so there's no more dream sequences with Kyle Reese, there's no more T-1000 malfunctioning, there's no like chip scene. It's like going back to the roots of what the movie was and how efficient it was. And I was just watching it with new eyes, and I realized how great special effect movies were. How they had like, you know, the back projector, and they have models, and they have CGI there and practical effects, and it was just like, oh my god, this is what movies used to be. It felt so real. And without the bogged down special edition scenes, the movie moves so efficiently. And you know that scene with the chip in the special edition, all that removed, and it was just replaced with one line.
The more contact I have with humans, the more I learn.
With just that simple line, it makes sense of why he's smiling and why he's, you know...
Trust me.
But I do feel some of the extended scenes with the T-1000 are good, but like the other stuff with the Kyle Reese and, you know, the Sarah Connor getting abused in the hospital, it's okay to cut those. We kind of get that she's in a shitty place. One of the most standout things about this movie is Robert Patrick. because to me, like, that is like a Star is Born performance. Like, where the fuck was this guy before? You know what I mean? He makes that character his own. He's in it. He is the T-1000. I remember as I was watching it, I was thinking about all the interviews and all the articles I read over the years. So I remember when he's running down the little dirt bike, that he actually ran so fast, he actually was able to catch the kid on the dirt bike. So they actually had to like slow it down or make him look slower. Just seeing some of the cool, just like in-camera effects, like the Texas switch. Through his window, you see the T-1000 running up, and then there's the Texas switch where Robert Patrick's already hooked onto the truck, so when he opens the door, it's like a Texas switch. It looks like he jumped onto the truck. And that's so awesome. And since I'm watching it on the Blu-ray, there's some things that I noticed that I've never noticed before. So there's like one shot, just one shot, where Arnold is on the motorcycle and he grabs little John Connor and puts him on his bike. That is like rear projection. That is crazy, just for that one shot. So I'm thinking like, oh my god, so as they're filming this movie, they have to film several shots with that rear projection. So they have to do the setup and doing all that. Since the visual effects had to be worked on before like the actual movie, like there's that one weird shot where Robert Patrick's like, and all the little bullet holes close up and he goes up. Clearly that was shot like months beforehand, and they had to do that little visual effect to do that. But the thing that's so magical about that and kind of like makes me laugh is that I kind of understand why James Cameron does those Avatar movies, because all of it is mostly CGI and controlled. He doesn't have to worry about filming and setting up lights or any of that. Like, he can do that all in the, you know, the computer world now. And I kind of don't blame him for doing those Avatar movies now, because just watching how much effort and he like sweat and blood and tears that he puts into these Terminator movies is like ridiculous. Now that I'm older and kind of grasp themes of the movie, it's so touching to see all the little John Connor moments that I missed as a kid. Because to me as a kid, I'm like, oh, I'm watching Arnold Schwarzenegger, or I'm watching, you know, Linda Hamilton. It's an action movie. But like all the emotional scenes with Edward Furlong, like that one scene when Sarah Connor, you know, looks like she's hugging him, but she's not hugging him. She's just checking for bullet holes and make sure he's not injured. And you see it in his face, and he gets so sad. And he can't hide his tears, where he just has to look away, and then stupid Arnold's like, what's wrong with your eyes? And he's like, nothing, man. And he's like wiping his eyes. That is great acting. And it's so wonderful. And then there's like that scene when he's talking to the Terminator underneath the truck and they're fixing the stuff. And, you know, Arnold's like, why do you cry? What is that all about? And he says, I don't know, because you just hurt, you know? And it's just so wonderful. It's just those little human moments that really don't happen in movies anymore, where it's okay to cry, it's okay to show emotion. It's just wonderful revisiting this movie again, because there's just little moments that I see now, like when, you know, the T-1000 is going to the nut house and he knocks on the window. It is metal on glass, and I find that so funny. I didn't notice as a kid, because you just think it's like tapping on glass, but now that you're an adult, like, you know, your hand doesn't sound like that when you tap glass. It's like fucking metal, like dung dung. But yeah, I fell in love with this movie again. As a kid, I'm just watching it for the special effects, but now that I'm watching it with, you know, as a 32-year-old person, it's like, oh shit, this movie has a lot of heart. So I thank my friend Elizabeth, or as I call her, Elizabeth. I like to thank Elizabeth for this. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please click the like button down below. Also, leave a comment down below and let me know what you want to hear in the next episode. Do you want me to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, James Cameron movies, Jamie Lee Curtis? What's my favorite female-led movie? What's my favorite animated movie, comedy, whatever? The sky's the limit. Just leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys want to hear about. Also, don't be afraid to click the subscribe button if you like these videos, and also click the notification so you don't miss an upload. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, everybody.
The Galleria?